All right, welcome into the Florence Barleycorns. There you go. How about that? Orchestrated by Beckett, no doubt. All right, here we are at state championship week. The Jaguars, second straight Class 5A state title game. Man, you got to be happy about this, huh?
Good night.
Didn't sound like this at halftime last Friday, did it?
Well, it depends on where you're at. I
got to tell you, welcome in. It's a Cooper football show. We are here at week 15, 14-0. An unprecedented season continues. 8 o'clock Saturday night. Bowling Green, the opponent, again in the Class 5A state title game at UK. Coach Randy Borchers and members of the Jaguars here tonight, and we'll give you a good perspective on this game. But I want you to be honest with me now. So I'm looking Friday night, it's halftime, and I'm watching Cooper walk to the locker room, seemingly rather slow and somewhat dejected, down 17-7. Highlands ran around, kind of gave the fist bump to their student section, ran around the goalpost in the locker room, and I'm thinking to myself, uh-oh. What were you honestly, be honest now, don't give me that coach speak nonsense. What were you truly thinking, and what did you say to them at halftime?
Well, first off, the thing that only thing we were really concerned about, they were getting the ball coming out in the second half.
Right.
Honestly, that was one of the worst halves that we played. And it was self-induced. I mean, you look at it, we're up 7-0. We get a fourth and we get a stop. We're fourth and forever. Get a penalty. They go 4 and 4th down, pick it up, end up kicking a field goal there. Next drive, we have a block.
Block
punt that really they weren't bringing pressure. It was just we kind of hit a brain fart and we just we didn't execute. I mean, that was on us. So we were down 17-7, but we really felt like we gave them 10 easy points. So we felt like if we got a stop and could get things going, we didn't offensively. I think we had 3 drives the first half. Scored, put a 95-yard drive together, threw an interception on one, and was pinned back and just got stopped. So we needed to get in a groove. We knew if we could get in a groove, we would have a chance. Defensively, really, we weren't playing bad.
No, but you do have to admit in the first half, Isaac Brown makes the interception, negates another potential touchdown. They fumble the ball inside the 5, get it back, but a touchdown turns into a field goal. I thought the biggest play of the game clearly was not, obviously, they get the ball, then they have the bad snap, you get it. But on the first 3 plays of that possession, you don't gain a yard. So you're looking at 4th and 10 from their 27 and an outstanding pass from Cam O'Hare to Austin Alexander in the left kind of corner of the end zone. And all of a sudden, because if Highlands stops you there, they can take a sigh and go, okay, we turn it over, but we still kept the 10-point lead. Then the interception by Ryker Campbell, then another bad snap. You turn those into quick scores. I've never seen a 34-point quarter like that. And they went from being up 17-7 to down 28-17 and really done. I mean, the body language said done, and you just poured it on from there. 61-23. I mean, 54 points in the second half. 54.
There's some years we barely scored 54 points in a year.
I've seen them. So I've seen some of those games. Yes.
So obviously, us scoring 54 points has nothing to do with me. It's just, we got some dudes that made plays, and like you said, we had a 4th down, and we throw a fade route, and there was no question that was the right call. Cam throws a great fade, and you got 2 great receivers on the outside, and we had the mismatch. And honestly, we should have probably have done that a little earlier in the game. And we changed our game plan a little bit from the first game, thinking they were going to give us some different stuff. Then once we realized how they were playing us, we took advantage of that all second half.
61 points on just 44 plays. You continue to do that ratio, which is incredible. And, you had guys with big games. Again, Cam O'Hara, who probably played, not probably, but that was his worst half of the season. 6 completions for less than 75 yards in the first half, winds up with 279 yards passing, 4 TDs. Austin Alexander, 2 touchdown receptions. And without Keegan Mayer, who had been a vital cog in this offense, stepping up, Ryker Campbell and Mason Stanton, those 2 guys really did a great job on offense. Mayer, 10 carries. Not Mayer, so used to saying that. Campbell, 10 carries, 106 yards, 3 TDs. He had another interception. Now ties Dante Hendricks for the School record was 7 in a year. Cam O'Hara now has more passing yards, 8,731, than any QB in Northern Kentucky history, and he's just a junior. I mean, the numbers continue to be eye-popping. None of that matters, though. You want Saturday. It's Bowling Green again. You've played them twice. You know one thing, when you make the state final, you're probably going to play Bowling Green, right?
Yeah, they're there. I mean, you look at, I think, the last 12 or 13 years, I think they've been there 9 years or something like that. I mean,
yeah, well, they're going for their
huge.
third state title in 5 years. They've won 8, as you mentioned, and really they're as tested as you are. Their only 2 losses are to Frederick Douglass back in week 1, and they made it to the 6A state semifinals. Yep. And then they lost to South Warren during the regular season, went on the road and beat them 31-28 during this berth. You played them twice, 34-20 back in 2012, 28-14 last year. Talk a little bit about this game. When you look back at last year, you have to feel like last year you probably were your own worst enemy, correct? I mean, you weren't able to run it. You had negative yards rushing. They had 6 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. Those are very uncharacteristic Cooper-type numbers offensively.
Yeah, and we got down. I think we were down 14-0. Yeah. So that hurts. The weather wasn't great, but you can throw all that out. We all played in the same thing, and everyone wants to bring up we had turnovers last year in that game, and turnovers killed us. But
they did too.
The difference was they capitalized on our turnovers, and we were unable to capitalize on their turnovers. So, it's part of the game. The thing that Bowling Green has that we've struggled with the last 2 times is the speed.
Sure.
They have speed that we have not seen this year. Or we haven't seen the 2 previous years. So that's always an adjustment that we got to adjust to. And no matter what you try to do or how you try to implement it in practice, you can't see that speed, and there's nothing you can really do to go against it. So, it takes a little bit to get used to it, and, our kids have seen it. They kind of know a little bit more what to expect this year, being able to play those guys back-to-back years. So, I think our kids are up for the challenge.
Be interesting. I mean, they scored 2 touchdowns, didn't even have an offensive play against South Warren on Friday night because they ran 2 kickoffs back for touchdowns. 2 returns. So, when you look, Deuce Bailey was their guy last year. I mean, he had 3 passing TDs. He also ran for 1, but he also threw 3 interceptions. So you're right about the speed. They've got Tarvee Barber again, the wide receiver. They can run it. But looking at it, they obviously returned 16 guys from a state championship team, but I just think this Cooper team is a much better football team, specifically on the lines. I think you're better on both lines, and I think that's a difference maker, right? Don't you feel that way?
Yeah, and I think you look at it, especially this time of year, and you look at last year, when you deal, this year it's going to be really cold. We're going to be down in the 20s again Friday at the start of the game, and or rain, and you have to be able to control the line of scrimmage the later you get in the playoffs, and we weren't able to do that last year, and that was really the big difference in the ball game. We feel like this year we are better up front. Coach Burnett came back this year. Coach Herring, they've done a tremendous job with our offensive line. Coach Michaels, Coach Mulbihill's done a tremendous job with our defensive line. So, those guys continue to get better as the year went on, and they're really playing pretty good football right now.
Be remiss if we didn't mention what a big weekend it'll be, too, for Northern Kentucky. 3 teams playing for state title games. Beechwood gets it underway in the 2A game on Friday as they try to win number 18. They get one of the 5 remaining unbeaten teams in the state, Owensboro Catholic. That's a 4 o'clock game on Friday. And then kudos to Ryle for I know they're a rival, but, when you go back-to-back, the city of Union doing pretty well for itself. Ryle takes on 29-time winner Louisville Trinity at 4, and then you guys are the last of 3 on Saturday. The final is 6, taking on Bowling Green. 8 o'clock kickoff. Reminder, your tickets, you got to get them through the KHSAA. It's all digital. If you go down, don't bring cash. There, want to make sure everybody gets in to see the game. But you'll take a nice crowd down there. You've got a great following. I wanted to ask you about that because I had a chance to come out Thanksgiving morning and see the great support of your parents, many of whom I know are here tonight. And, this program has an outstanding following, and certainly that helps. I know last year, despite bad weather, Cooper had many more fans than Bowling Green did there. And it can make a difference when you get to this time of year.
Absolutely. And honestly, Tom, in 2012, we played down at Western Bowling Green, it's in their backyard. We
Sure.
had more fans there in 2012 than Bowling Green did. So, and some of that can be, Bowling Green's used to it. It's just another game for them. They're in it so often, and it's something special for us. But, we have a great following, not only in football but throughout. I mean, you go to the regional basketball.
No question.
Regardless of what we have, our people, they pack the place, and they support us. And, you had kind of mentioned it with Ryle being there. That's pretty cool. The only unfortunate thing with that is you can't stay and watch both games. I wish those guys could, and I would like our people go root on those guys, and it'd be nice for them to stay and root for us. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. But one of the cool things in 2012 when we played down there, the game before us was Newcath, which was my alma mater. So being able to play right after them was pretty cool. Now this year, having Ryle play before us, which no matter how much you guys hate those guys on the field, it's still pretty cool. Those kids know each other. The coaches know each other. We respect the heck out of those guys. So, being able to play those guys, you see those guys play before us is pretty special for the town of Union.
Let me ask you this. I mean, obviously, you have to feel like this football team's good enough against anybody, right? I mean, it just happens to be Bowling Green. It could have been South Warren, whatever the case may be. But you've now won 3 straight in the series against Highlands, including 2 in the state semifinals. How much do you have to say, don't look at the front of the jersey? I see Cooper and Ryle in similar scenarios, right? I mean, if you're Ryle, you're playing Trinity. Last time they made it was 2006. Trinity beat them 41-7. Everybody knows, it's the behemoth Louisville Trinity. For you guys in 5A, it's Bowling Green. They rank among the all-time state leaders in winning state titles. How much of that comes into play? To just saying, hey, don't worry about that. Just play our game, do what we do. We think we're good enough, we can win.
And you're going to say this is coaching talk, and this is, I'm being very sincere when I say this. You look at last year, I don't think anybody came off that field really feeling that was a better football team than what we were.
No, I would agree with that because I was at the game and I felt the same way.
So I think, we have all of our kids back. The majority of our kids are back. So those kids aren't going into that game feeling like this Bowling Green team's better than what we are. And then you throw on top of that, and we've talked about this all year, this is a special group of kids, man. They they go out, they believe. And there's been some weeks that I've been really nervous because I don't think we practice well. And, guys will look at me and kind of smile, and they're like, Coach, we got this. And that's just the mentality they've had. That's kind of the stigma they've done all year. So, this is most probably the most relaxed I've been all year because these kids got this, man.
Well, you are relaxed, and that's a good thing to see because I get on your ass all the time about being too wound too tight. And I tell Beckett, I'm like, give me the Borchers meter, like, what's he like? Because, you're telling me about this team and that team, and I'm like, no. And you got to learn, just like these media guys we had last week, remember? I told Skinny and Daneman about the Bengals, right? And at some point, people are going to start listening to me. Ryan Day doesn't know what he's doing. He has no clue. The Bengals are god-awful. Their defense is atrocious. You don't have to – I don't need some coaching manual. I don't even have 2 good eyes.
I'm just glad you're on my good side right now.
I am on your good side.
What would you say about me?
Well, I'll tell you, don't mess this up, right? You've gotten this far.
Great.
You've won 4. I'm just telling you.
And I just went from being relaxed to being stressed out now.
It's all good. You're up there with Owen Houck, man. You're in coaching royalty now. See, that's the way this goes. I would tell you, having watched last year too, I had that same feeling. And this is every now and again you get a really special group of kids. This is one group that makes you feel that way. They do. We're going to talk to 4 of them again tonight. I think Beckett's going to have next week our show. I think we're going to have every player. It's going to be like 4.5 hours long. Every guy gets 5 minutes. But we're going to talk to Austin Alexander. Want to know what's he going to do now that Mac had his swan song. Mike Mulbihill, Isaac Brown, who intercepted 2 passes, and Ryker Campbell, who did an outstanding job and on both sides of the ball. So we'll talk to those guys. And a special guest, I presume he's here. I can't see worth it. Okay. Wanted to get Jeff Marksberry to come tonight. Jeff was a 22-year coach at Simon Kenton, did an outstanding job with the Pioneers program. And he knows about coaching in the state final. He took on Trinity. And he's a really good coach. Now works for the KHSA and will be down there at the state football finals. Thought it'd be good to get his perspective, and we'll do that next.
I'll just get the elephant out of the room now. We've never beat Jeff Marksberry or Simon Kenton, so I'm going to go ahead and say that before he gets to come up and rub it.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but it was funny when I told a couple of my oldest kids, he was like, We used to get drubbed by them, and I said, well, that's why I thought it'd be good to get him up here, and maybe so you can sit out there and listen.
Well, the thing is, we were going to play them, and then once he found out we were going to be good, he retired.
Did he now? Well, you know what? That's what I call that's a smart coach. He knows when to be done, right? I'm just saying. What, kind of like Dale Mueller, right? Has anybody seen him? I'll give him credit, man.
I thought he game Friday.
No, I thought he would come back though, didn't you? I mean, but to his credit, he walked away and said, "I'm done."
I think he's in the line for a haircut right now.
Well, he's been for a couple years. Hey, you know what? That's a man who's comfortable in his own skin. It's all good. All right, Jaguars coach Randy Borchers, you're not done. You'll be back at the end, but we'll take a quick break and we'll welcome up Jeff Marksberry. Talk about Cooper versus Bowling Green, the 5A state final. 8 o'clock kickoff Saturday. Give yourselves a round of applause tonight right here for coming out for the Cooper football show. There you go, at the Florence Barleycorns. All right, welcome back to the Florence Barleycorns. It's a Cooper football show. State championship week. Cooper unbeaten, top ranked in 5A. Only 5 teams remain undefeated. Sayre in single A, Owensboro Catholic in double A, Paducah Tillman and Franklin County. They meet in 4A. I should have mentioned Covcath almost knocked off Franklin County, lost 14-10, and then Cooper in 5A. But it's my pleasure to welcome as a special guest a guy who's coached in a state championship game and now does some stuff for the Kentucky High School Athletic Association. You'll be down there, right, this week?
I will, yes.
Jeff Marksberry, who coached 22 seasons at Simon Kenton, really took over the Pioneers program and built them into a consistent winner from 2003 to 2008. 69-11, had outstanding years. 2008
state
championship when you took on Trinity, right?
Yes.
So let me ask you, and I know you're being told to hold the microphone closer so we can hear every word you say. There you go. So you seem more relaxed than you ever have been now that you're not a coach anymore. But what was it like the year that you were going to the state championship? Do you remember what was that week like, and how different was that week than just a normal week?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we did, because we played on a Saturday, which Cooper gets the advantage of playing on a Saturday, we were able to take that Monday, which would have, today obviously, and we did a media day, so we didn't have to lose a day of practice. We let news people come in, reporters come in, and we had stuff set up in the locker room so the kids could kind of get all that stuff out of the way. That was the first time we'd ever been, and the only time that we'd ever been to the finals. So we had a media day on that first day, and then the rest of the week was kind of Tuesday became our Monday, Wednesday was our Tuesday, and just kind of rode the wave of having a regular week of preparation and practice.
Now, you played the giant that is Louisville Trinity that year, and I talked about Cooper playing Bowling Green. They've met them twice in the state final, and Ryle takes on Trinity. Did you talk to your team about playing a team like that? The name on there's some coaches that'll tell you if you let that get into your head, you're down 10-0 before you even start the game. How much of a factor did you talk about that at all, or was it not a factor?
It really wasn't a factor. We tried to focus on playing as well as we could play, and tried to talk to the kids about it being just another game. It's even though it was the state championship. I mean, I know how Coach Borchers feels, and being wrapped too tight and wound too tight. About halftime, when it was 28-0, is when we kind of said, hey, just go out and enjoy this for what it is, the night that we played in the finals. But we tried to take it just a regular week of preparation, and doing things the way we normally did them every week. Kind of the old idea of dance with the date that brought you.
I know you've seen Cooper this year, and obviously more experienced and explosive offense, evidenced by Friday night, which was one of the most incredible turnarounds. 34 points. A lot of teams that take 34 in a game, let alone a quarter, and 54 and a half. I know you were on a sideline for one of their playoff games.
Scott County game.
What do you think, from what you've seen at Cooper, what do they have to do against Bowling Green?
Well, they just have to be themselves. They have to do the things that's gotten them to this point, and Coach Borchers understands that. It's not his first rodeo. The things that have made them be successful to this point and get them to the season that they've had so far, those are the things that they have to do. I mentioned before, dance with the date that brought you. Those kids, I saw, the Friday night I was there in the Scott County game, the enthusiasm, the care they have for each other, I think that's a huge part of this team. And you and Randy talked about it a little while ago. That is so important, that family feeling that, I'm playing for the guy next to me in the huddle and I'm playing for the guy, standing behind me in the huddle. And I think that's very evident. You can see that when you watch this team play.
Jeff Marksberry, former coach of Simon Kenton, longtime coach of Simon Kenton. Do you miss it? You ready to get back yet?
That Friday night that I stood down there on the sideline and watched the Scott County Cooper game, I got a little itch then, but I think I'm good staying retired.
So what about the lines, the line play? I think when you look at Cooper last year comparative to this year, they're clearly better on both lines. And I know when you get to December and the temperature is a little chilly and, like last Friday, maybe the wind becomes a factor. How important is it to win the line of scrimmage when you get to this point of the season?
I think at any point in the season, winning the line of scrimmage is a huge deal. Protecting Cam, giving the backs a chance to make a play and make somebody miss on the second level, getting the backs to that second level and getting them beyond the line of scrimmage. Offensive line play and defensive line play is the key every week, in my opinion, and these guys have done a phenomenal job of playing well up front, and controlling the game in that aspect. I mean, look at the Highlands game on Friday night. I mean, Highlands offensive line was touted as, being so physical and being this great unit, in which they are a very good unit, but Cooper didn't flinch. I mean, Cooper's defense did a fantastic job of controlling the line of scrimmage and getting pressure on the quarterback, forcing turnovers. So I think that every week that offensive and defensive line play is important.
You hear coaches all the time talk next man up and when somebody goes out, and Keegan Mayer, who has been a vital part of this offense, I mean, not only just running the football, touchdown machine, great receiver out of the backfield, suddenly he's injured, can't go on Friday night, and you look to a couple guys in Ryker, Campbell, and Mason Stanton who are really largely been defensive players, barely touch the ball on offense, but they come in and do a great job. Isn't that part of any championship team to have guys that whenever somebody goes out for whatever reason, you've got other guys that step in?
Absolutely. There's an old coach's saying out there that in order to win a championship, you have to have three things happen. You have to have the luck of the draw, bounce of the ball, and a good call. And I think that luck of the draw, the bounce of the ball, going their way with those guys stepping up and giving quality minutes in the absence of Mayer it's a testament to what they do. It's a testament to how they practice and how those kids feel about each other, in the huddle, like I was saying before.
Now, you were in Northern Kentucky for 2 decades plus of coaching, and looking at this year with Beechwood at 2A trying to win title number 18, Cooper obviously back-to-back here trying to get its first, and then Ryle trying to get its first as well in 6A. Pretty good representation, especially when you throw Covcap in there, knocking off Boyle County, which was probably the biggest upset, not probably, was. Of the season, not just in Kentucky, but maybe anywhere. But, I don't think sometimes Northern Kentucky gets the respect it deserves. You coached in it, played in it. I mean, this is a really good area of high school football.
It is the best, not only just in terms of the quality of teams, but the quality of coaches and the camaraderie. The coaches still meet once a month, have the Northern Kentucky Football Coaches Association. It is by far the strongest coaches association in the state. In the sharing and the competition obviously is great, but the sharing of ideas and the sharing of that camaraderie, on those Wednesday night meetings. I mean, there's nothing that compares to Northern Kentucky football within the state. You obviously have Trinity and X, and you have those little pockets, but year in and year out, there's someone from Northern Kentucky that's representing us at the state level.
Talk about your job now with the Kentucky High School Athletic Association. You'll be down there with the state football finals, but you're doing a lot for the commissioner, Julian Tackett, and the KHSA. What will your role be on Friday and Saturday for the 2 days of the state football championships?
Well, my normal role with them is a Title IX auditor, so I go around to schools around the state and do Title IX audits, gender equity stuff, male and female equality within the sports programs, money spent, practice schedules, the things that we evaluate. But actually, this weekend, I am taking on a different role, and I am representing the Kentucky Football Coaches Association, and handing out all of the District Player of the Year, District Coach of the Year awards. So not really doing anything this week with the KHSAA. Going to be doing stuff for the Kentucky Football Coaches Association.
I got a feeling after the weekend is when you're really going to be chomping at the bit, right? When you watch six state championship games, you're going to be thinking, is this time? And I know, what do you anticipate at some point becoming a head coach again?
I don't know. There have been some opportunities presented to me over the last couple of years. This was my third season retired, and there have been a couple of interesting offers, but nothing that's made me want to dive in again and give that much time. It's a time thing. My youngest daughter is an 8th grader, and it's nice to be able to pick her up from school and take her to practices. She plays volleyball, basketball, and lacrosse, so she's pretty involved with things. And I missed that with the first one. Not missed it, but I didn't have as much time, obviously. So I enjoy what my life has become.
So a final question: you obviously wore you didn't wear the SK blue tonight, which is commendable. You even got a little maroon in there for the Jaguars. But is this the year? Does Cooper get it Saturday night against Bowling Green? You've seen enough. You know enough about Bowling Green. Great football team, speed. They come in 12-2. Cooper 14-0. Does Cooper get this one?
They do. The Cooper Jaguars are going to come home state champions.
And why do you think they will?
I just think that this group of kids, as Randy mentioned before, is so special. I watched them play the Simon Kenton scrimmage. They've obviously come miles since that scrimmage game. I mean, that's what those are for, to fix some things. And then seeing what they did to a Scott County team that, traditionally is a really, really good football program, and Jim does a great job. His kids are tough, and they play hard. I think they've got all of the components. I think they are, from what I've seen in Northern Kentucky this year, I would say that they are probably the most balanced in terms of being equally as good defensively as they are offensively. Even though the offensive point production this past week was phenomenal, I think defensively they are just as strong. I know Randy talked about that speed. I think that he's got the athletes in skill positions to make a difference this year in this game.
Well, I hope you're right.
I do too.
I hope you're right. All right, big round of applause, Jeff Marksberry, for joining us tonight. Appreciate it, Chief, as always. All right, speaking of those kids, we'll talk to a couple. Austin Alexander and Mike Mulbihill will be next when we continue with the Cooper Football Show here at the Florence Barleycorn. All right, welcome back to the Florence Barleycorns. Packed house here tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause for the Cooper Jaguars. Appreciate you being out tonight. All right, Cooper Bowling Green, the 5A state final, 8 o'clock UK on Saturday evening. It's my pleasure to welcome up the first two players to talk a little bit about Friday's win, the season, and most importantly, coming Saturday, Austin Alexander and Mike Mulbihill. Now, we're going to start with this. Be honest now. Down 17-7 at halftime. You guys hadn't trailed. That was the first deficit of any kind at halftime. Austin, you go first. What were you truthfully thinking when you were walking? It looked like a dejected walk for the Cooper boys kind of heading into the field. What was on your mind? What were you thinking after the first half?
To be honest, and all my guys can attest to this. I was sitting there just like I am now, and I was talking the same way I am now. I'm like, guys, this is, this happens to teams, and we just got to do what we do, and we'll be fine. Even Coach Borchers, like, he came in, he's like, well, if you want to be a championship team, you're going to have to figure it out. So, it was the calmest locker room we've had all year. We've even had times where we were up 40 and we've had a more distressed locker room. We know what we can do, and it was really just like, man, let's go do it. And we're really not worried. We just need to go perform.
What were you thinking while the first half was going on? I mean, that's uncharacteristic, right? You're down 10. Highlands fumbles that could have had a touchdown, perhaps settled for a field goal. You have a big interception by Isaac Brown when they're about to score again. What was going through your mind during the first half when you're trailing 17-7?
Yeah, there's a few mistakes that happened, but we knew we were right with them, and we scored first, and they came back and scored, but we knew it was closer than what the score showed. I mean, there was just a few mistakes, maybe even just a couple plays that made the difference in that score, so we knew we could come out second half, do what we do, and get the win.
Now, I got to be honest, I thought the biggest play of the game was when you guys take over after they had the bad snap. You're down 4th and 10 from their 27. You go for it. You hadn't gained a yard on the first 3 plays. And to talk about that play, which Cam O'Hara hooked up with you, kind of a perfect throw, nice catch, back left corner of the end zone. That seemed to kind of start the snowball effect, if you will. Talk about that play.
You know, to be honest, it doesn't get better than Cameron O'Hara. He just comes out and performs every single week, and no matter if he's has a few off throws, right? We just believe in him so much, and I just knew if I can just put myself in the right position, Cam's gonna put me in an even better position to catch the ball. So I just trust what Coach calls, and I trust that Cam's gonna be able to get me the ball.
How about you? You actually got into the scoring act, right? That's somewhat rare, correct? I mean, that's not every day a defensive guy on the line gets one. But talk about this team forcing turnovers. I mean, you get 6 turnovers against Southwestern and then 14 turnovers in 2 games. I mean, if you don't win those games, you're hurting, right? That gives you a heck of an advantage. But talk about this defense, because I think it's been a huge difference maker from last year to this year, how good you guys have been on the line.
I think it all just starts in practice. We've been preaching it every day. Our coach Moore is always saying 4 more turnovers every single day, and we just shoot for that. So we're getting 10, 12 turnovers in practice against the scout team, and that just kind of rolls over to the game. So,
Austin, talk about last year. You guys lose 28-14. I know Coach Borchers talked about, we didn't feel like we really got beat. We felt like we were there. We made some mistakes. Did you feel that way last year, and how would you describe the team this week in prep? I know it's only day 1, obviously, but you've got 5 days leading up to it now to get ready for Saturday night. How's this team looking at this week?
Yeah, last year we come out there. I'm watching the film, and I thought we definitely had a chance. You get on the field, and you still have that same feeling, but then things just don't go your way, and that's just how it is. That's how life is. Things aren't going to go your way. We didn't answer on some turnovers that we caused. We didn't make things happen. It was raining. Like Coach explained, there was a few different factors at play, but we just didn't get the job done when we felt we could have. So coming into this year, we knew we had the team to be able to get it done, and now it's just handling our business. So the whole year we've been in the same mindset. We're a very calm and collected team, and that same mindset is going into this week to just go out there, perfect our craft, and just do what we do and continue to take care of business.
So Bowling Green's got speed, right? So what do you guys on the line and defensively do to negate the speed that they have? Deuce Bailey, their quarterback, he can run it, he can throw it. They've obviously got Barber as a receiver. They got a couple running backs that are pretty fast as well. What do you have to do defensively against Bowling Green that might be different against a team that doesn't have as much speed?
I think the biggest thing right now is containing the quarterback. Last year we played him. We left open some gaps up the middle. He'd just shoot for like 30 yards and something like that. So I think if we can contain the quarterback and force him to make plays and run around and throw off the run, then we'll be able to make some plays and maybe get some picks and stuff. So I think that's the main goal.
Final question for both you guys. I'd be remiss if I didn't sneak one in about North Carolina. Still good there? Are we still?
We're good to go. We're good.
All right, so they're going to, even though Mac Brown who's a class act, by the way. I mean, you obviously know that. That's why you were going to go there. So they're still honoring the scholarship and all that good stuff?
Yep, still honoring. Signing day's coming up. I may extend it out a little bit, just figuring out some things. But
okay.
I'm still locked in, though.
Well, good for you. Now, talk about this team. Forget about Bowling Green. Talk about just this team and what it's been like this year. I mean, I think with Keegan going out and obviously Ryker, who we're going to talk to, and Mason kind of coming in, I've heard Jeff Marksberry, Randy's talked about it all year long, how this is just a special group of guys. what makes this such a special group of guys? You guys do seem, I will say that no panic on Friday night. Seems like really good in the locker room, player leaders. Coaches have obviously done an outstanding job. But what about this team as players? What's been the difference in terms of – because you guys just seem like there's an expectation now heading into this week to win.
To be honest, it's completely built on our foundation being our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because it's a foundation that's unbroken, and that's something that I lean on, and a lot of people do as well. In our prayer circles, and it just allows us to be calm, be collected, and understand that no matter what happens, the core of us is always going to be strong. So not only that, but then also Jesus calls us to do everything with excellence. So our mind is to do everything to the best of our ability, do everything the best we can, and to the hardest and most, the greatest way possible, so that we can continue to glorify God.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, Mike, what's it been like with your dad being a part of this too? Obviously was a head football coach over in Greater Cincinnati at Blanchester, and now he's able to be a position coach on this year's team. How much fun has that been for you, being able to share a season like this with your dad?
It's been awesome. It's been something I've always dreamed of. I mean, he's been coaching me since I was 5, and now he's going to coach me in a state championship game. So that's you can't get any better than that, and I'm really excited for this week, and I'm just going to try to take it all in one day at a time and get after it.
All right, there you have it. There's our first half. Austin Alexander, Mike Mulbihill, two guys who play on both sides of the ball a little bit, but who've made a big difference. And now we'll welcome up Ryker Campbell and also Isaac Brown to get their perspective. But, guys, congrats so far and best of luck on Saturday night. All right, the Cooper Football Show rolls along right here while we continue at the Florence Barleycorn. All right, welcome back to the Florence Barleycorns. We got a couple more members of the Cooper undefeated football team here. Welcome up Isaac Brown and Ryker Campbell. Now, before we get to Friday night and Saturday, I was told that one of you is a Ohio State fan. That would be, sadly, this week for you, right? Okay. And obviously, judging from the fact that you wore your nightwear Michigan pajamas to the show, you're the Michigan fan, right? Okay. Now, it hasn't been a good year for you, though, up until Saturday, correct?
No. I'd say it was like bad year, but as long as we beat them, it's still an all right year.
All right, well, it's okay. Now, so did you watch the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I watched the whole game.
Now, you've watched Michigan enough, I presume, this year to know they're horrific on offense, right? I mean, normally.
Yeah.
So even though it was close, you had to be expecting at some point, especially with the interception, the heinous interception, that throw was awful, right? Did you think when that occurred, we're in trouble now?
Probably. I was literally like, if he waited one more second, it probably would have been a touchdown. He threw it right to the dude, and it was bad. I don't know.
All right, you're watching the game, right? Did you watch the game?
I cut the game off. I turned it off.
Oh, you couldn't take it anymore?
No.
At what point in the game did you turn it off?
Probably like halftime.
Really, that early? Now, wait a minute now. Didn't you learn anything from Friday night?
I did, but I could tell they didn't have it like we did.
Okay, fair enough. Now, did you guys watch the idiocy after the game on the field? Did you see some of that?
It's crazy.
Now, what did you think? Do you blame Michigan for the flag and the?
Nah, I don't blame Michigan.
I say we have the right whenever we win. We have the right to plant the flag.
Now, what if that was at Michigan and Ohio State had won?
I probably would still been mad, but I feel like if they win at our house, then they get to plant the flag.
But what about winning with class and integrity? You don't care about that?
Not in a rivalry week. It don't matter.
All right. Well, Ryan Day said he had to watch the film to see what happened, even though he stood on the field and watched the entire thing. I'm just a little confused by that, but that's neither here nor there. All right, back to Cooper football. Be honest now. Friday night, halftime, what are you thinking?
We weren't worried. We went in there. That locker room was so calm. I mean, we're all just like, we know what we got to do. I mean, all the coaches are telling us, like, hey, if you just do this and honestly, their plays that they scored, it wasn't anything that we haven't seen before. So I mean, we just trying to stay calm and collected. We've kind of been that way all year. Like, we don't.
Were
really
you
get
surprised though the fact because and the only reason I'm asking that is because that's the first time you had trailed at halftime. Most of the times at halftime, it's either in running clock or you have a decided advantage. Were you surprised that the team was as calm as it was?
Not really, honestly. I wasn't really surprised just because we all kind of know what we can do. And, I mean, they just made some plays that didn't go our way. They had some touchdowns that didn't go our way. So we know what we can do. So I kind of expected it to be that calm. And I have a lot of trust in the people around me that we were going to go back out there and do what we do. So
how about you? I mean, what was going through your mind when you find out that Keegan can't go? And you're obviously going to have to go from a guy who has had a great year defensively with almost 100 tackles, and you've tied Dante Hendricks for the single-season record now in interceptions, second all-time in career. But what's going through your mind knowing that you and Mason are going to have to pick up a heavier load on offense?
It was definitely a little different because I haven't played running back probably since I was in, like, grade school, and knowing that it's going to be a lot different than doing that whenever kids probably don't even know how to tackle. So it was definitely a little different and a little scary going into it, but I just knew Coach believed in me. He told me all week, he was like, I believe in you. So I just had his trust. And
is that a thing for you, mentioning you haven't played it in so long? Did you kind of you got to get in the flow? I mean, you only carried it 10 times, 106 yards, 3 touchdowns, pretty impressive numbers. But was there a play, a carry, sometime in the game where you started going, okay, I remember this. This is kind of fun?
I think kind of the first play, honestly, because just opened up and it wasn't too like different. So I feel like just the first play, after the first play was done, then I kind of got used to it and settled in a little bit.
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, because at the time it was critical. What did you say?
I didn't even say anything, honestly. Their sideline, their coaches are chirping. I looked over there and I was just like, I think that the ref thought that I was their sideline or he was hearing. And he just looked at me and just threw the flag. And I was just like, I really like didn't say anything, no cuss words, really, no nothing. And he just threw the flag on me. And I was just like, I was confused at first because I thought it was them. I thought it was on them.
Well, because that's really not. So you guys really, from a defensive standpoint, you had 2 interceptions, including the one in the first half. You obviously had 1. So, I mean, how big has this defense been in terms of forcing turnovers? And I'll let each of you answer. You can go first.
Yeah.
How big has the defense been the last couple? I mean, 14 turnovers in 2 weeks. You're not losing to anyone when you're forcing those kind of numbers.
We all feed off of it like crazy. Like after we're already up 30-something. I get the last pick. And literally, like, if you just pay attention, the entire sideline is jumping around me and going crazy. And when Ryker got that pick, the whole sideline is going crazy. So we all feed off of each other. And, like you said, it's just a snowball. Like, once we get one and we get hot, everybody is just looking for it. Like, we want one.
Take you back to Friday night. Was there a play in the game that you felt like turned the tide? I mean, there were obviously a ton of them when you're scoring 34 in the third quarter and 54 in the second half. But was there one play that you felt like for this team that everybody kind of said, okay, now we're heading in the right direction?
After that touchdown that Austin had where Cam just threw it in the end zone, I think it was just the first one at a half. I think we were like, let's get rolling, like, let's do this. But then once, I think it was after the fumble on the kickoff, then we were like, we got this. Let's seal it now. We can just put it away right here.
So I'll stay with you and looking ahead to Saturday in Bowling Green, and you're watching the film from last year, and you know they've got 16 guys back. You got a lot of guys back as well, and better on both lines. This has the makings of another great game. What do you have to do collectively as a team against Bowling Green? Talk about what you have to do because you're now on both sides of the ball. What do you have to do on offense? What do you have to do on defense against this team?
I think just clean up our mistakes. I think last year we just made a lot of mistakes and just didn't capitalize on just plays that we could have. And I think if we just capitalize on the mistakes, play the game that we know how to play, then I think we could come out and win.
What about for you? I mean, is there something that you remember from the game last year that sticks with you that says, okay, that's not us now. We're a different team. You know, we're better than that. And I do think this is a much better team. What makes this a much better team, and what can you not afford to do in this game that you did last year?
Like Ryker said a little bit, we can capitalize this year. We get turnovers or we force punts, and we can capitalize. You guys have seen that we can go down and score the ball. Last year, it was sometimes we'd stall out a little bit, and on both sides of the ball, it kind of just be like we're just here trying to make sure you don't score on us, or we're just trying to put a drive. So it just kind of felt like we stall out a little bit at certain points. But this year, I feel like our ability to capitalize on their mistakes, it's really Nets level. We're able to capitalize on almost every single mistake.
Final question for both of you. You hadn't trailed. You did last week. You obviously turned it around. Knowing that when you're in a game like this, when you get to the state championship game, the other team is good too, obviously. 8-time state champion. They're going for 3 in 5 years. You guys going for the first one. The fact that you trailed and flipped the script so much in a half, does that give you an advantage? So let's just say you fall behind 7-0. Is that now not a big deal? No deficit?
I think so, because now that we know that we can just come back from whatever, no deficit, because we literally scored 50 and a half, no deficit, no matter what team we're playing, that we can't come back from.
You ever find yourself with as quick as they score going, this is absurd?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's because it is.
I'll tell, in the game, I was getting my ankle taped up, and literally, I ran over there after the kickoff, and Jaden had, a 70-yard touchdown.
He did.
And I had my ankle half taped. I'm running on the field, holding the PAT, and I came back off, got it taped, and then we're right back on the field. So they really turn it around fast, and it's just fun to watch because we all feed off of each other. This group is so close, and, I mean, we all love each other like brothers, so we're just feeding off each other, and then it just gets –
That's a nice problem to have,
Oh,
a half-taped ankle, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Isaac Brown, Ryker Campbell, 2 integral parts from Friday night and all season long. All right, when we come back, welcome up Coach Borchers. A final thoughts on a Saturday night, 8 o'clock, Cooper Bowling Green in the 5A state championship game right here. It's a Cooper football show from the Florence Barleycorns. All right, welcome back to the Florence Barleycorns, the final segment here of the Cooper football show with Jaguars coach Randy Borchers. And Cooper, Bowling Green, Saturday, 8 p.m. Cooper is 14-0. Bowling Green is 12-2 for the 5A state final. So, I mean, we started in August. If you can remember back that far, that's 4+ months. We started in August talking about, this being the goal. And, it's easy to talk about that, right? Everybody wants to win state. But, I mean, you guys, this team, seems like after last year, they set their sights on this goal, and you got to have the horses to do it, right? You got to have the dudes, as some of them like to say, you do. But now that you're here this week, do you change anything from the preparation last year? You're a day later. I know coaches like routines. So now you start tomorrow getting ready for Saturday, like Monday for Friday. Anything different, or you just keep doing what you've been doing all year?
Yeah. We're a team of routine. We've always kind of been that way. And when we get off our routine, we kind of get out of our game. So we're going to keep things as simple and as normal as we've had all year. Today we had that extra day, so we went out. We were able to work some things that we thought were going to give us some trouble this week. We're like every team right now that's playing. You're banged up a little bit, so you want to give your kids a little extra rest. So, we went out. We felt like we had a great day today, but it was also a little bit more laid back. And then tomorrow, our Tuesday practice becomes our Monday practice, and we'll get back into routine, and, we're just going to go play.
So final question for you, then I got some kind of thank yous to some people, but for you to win Saturday night, you've seen Bowling Green. They're not going to, like Jeff said, you kind of dance with your date, right? You're going to do what you're going to do. You know what they do. They know what you do. In the end, for Cooper to win its first state football championship, for Cooper to beat Bowling Green, what has to happen?
Yeah, I don't think it's much different from what we've preached all year. Obviously they got big playmakers that make big plays, and we got to find a way to limit the big plays and force them to put drives together and not give up the cheap, big, long plays. Special teams is going to be another huge part for us. Last week, they didn't even run a play in the first quarter. They ran the 2 opening kickoffs back. So, they have some challenges for us. Offensively, we just got to stay in front of the chains. They're going to bring pressure on us. We know that. We can't get in second and long and third and long situations. We got to kind of stay in front of the chains. And, at the end of the day, we just got to stay patient. We got to stay relaxed. Even though we've been there, you're playing at Kroger Field, you're playing in front of the lights. So I think it's the team that adjusts the best to it early on and make the least mistakes early and can settle into the game is going to have the best opportunity.
I was going to ask you that. You hear when they talk college basketball and they get to like the Final Four and they play in the big dome and all that. Well, this is obviously a much bigger facility, Kroger Field at University of Kentucky. Is there anything in football that makes it different that you have to be concerned with as a coach?
Yeah, and I think one thing, as a coach, I think going back again, you see some things you didn't do last year, and this sounds minor, but one thing that we practiced and we realized it and we really worked on, but the goalposts are thinner. They're skinnier. They're not as wide. So, we've kind of struggled the last couple of weeks with some of our extra points, so that's going to be a big part. So we really got to focus on that this week. But the other thing is the hash marks are in tighter too. So, we have to change our alignment a little bit with our receivers on where they're aligned because, you're on the you're on that left hash now. You got to change your alignment even a little bit more with your right side receivers because otherwise they're almost by alignment taking themselves out of the play.
All right, I want to special thanks to a couple people. Billy Prickett back here, quarterbacks coach, and also running the audio every week. Matt Razor doing a great job with the video. YouTube, Cooper Jaguars football. You can check this out midweek every week. And Shane Beckett, who produces more notes than you would think is humanly possible, who's also done a great job as your director of football operations. And I know, thanks to Barleycorns, I believe on Thursday night, a couple other places, the team will be eating well Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I know your family's helping out on Friday. But that's something that I think sometimes people maybe take for granted. But you guys really do put your time, effort, and money behind a first-rate program and making it special for the kids as they get ready for the state championship. So thanks to everybody. And to the parents group, I know the parents, great support on Thanksgiving morning coming out. That was a pretty cool event. But thanks to everybody, and stay tuned for more details on what we anticipate to be a state championship celebration here at the Florence Barleycorns. And thanks to Barleycorns, I think you're feeding you Thursday night. So thanks to Joey Heil and everybody here, the Barleycorn staff, for being such gracious hosts all fall and now into the winter.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thanks, Tom, has to be for you. To be honest with you, this has kind of been something we've been wanting to do for the last 3 or 4 years. We've had this idea of trying to put this talk show together, and it always sounds good on paper. And Shane and I had talked about it, and we really didn't know how to get it started or how to go about it or how we were going to get it to go. And being up here for 14, 15 weeks, whatever we've been up here, you've done a tremendous job coming in, doing a great job with our kids, making it comfortable for them. And, this is a first-rate show, man, and it's all because of you. So I hope you guys give Tom a big round of applause for this because he's done an awesome job.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it. But thanks to everybody for coming out, not just this week, but all year. And, again, stay tuned. We anticipate a fun celebration when I think Shane's going to bring the roster. And we'll just start with one. You get like 3 minutes. We have a buzzer, and when you're done, if you don't speak, you just go instantly.
Hey, I'm gonna put it right now. We win. We got to get Shane up here to talk a little bit next week.
Oh, we can do that.
So, but we got to have a time limit on it.
Well, there's a simple thing: turn the volume down.
We can do that.
We've done that many a time. But seriously, want to see everybody out there. And again, you get tickets. Has to be purchased digitally in advance. Go to the khsaa.org. Anything you want to say about the game itself, too?
Yeah, the tickets are cheaper. So if you're going to buy the tickets, try to do it before Thursday. They do go up $3 after Thursday. So, if you want that discount, get it on Thursday. But, we're expecting an exciting game Friday night or Saturday night, and it should be a good time. So we know we're going to pack the place, and we're looking forward to all the support that we get.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night, and I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving as well. But go Jaguars, Cooper Bowling Green, Saturday night. Don't show up you can show up on Friday and just watch a different team play. Saturday night, 8 o'clock, Ryle plays at 4 o'clock. So good luck to Ryle and Beechwood as well for the Northern Kentucky. But Cooper Football Show right here at the Florence Barleycorns. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Have a great rest of your evening.